Hi everyone, welcome to IAB There, our weekly live stream show in which we connect the digital advertising ecosystem. I'm Zoe Soon, VP of the Experience Center here at IAB. In today's session, titled Road to PlayFronts, we'll be covering how gaming has become the largest and fastest growing form of entertainment and what it uniquely brings to the media industry and why now is the time to invest. With that said, let's bring on Kerry Tills, Chief Strategy and Operations Officer at FramePlay. Welcome, Kerry. Nice to have you. Thanks for joining us today. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your role at FramePlay?
Sure. At FramePlay, I'm the Chief Strategy and Operations Officer. So I get to work on all sorts of things across the company, including strategy, marketing, operations, product, customer success, business intelligence, analytics. Really, it's to support the success of the company and, of course, the games.
Excellent. And for those who aren't aware, we have PlayFronts coming up, the first gaming upfront, in the spirit of New Fronts and Podcast Upfront, where we're going to create a marketplace for games. What are you most excited about for this inaugural event?
Yeah, certainly. I've been around for a really long time. I used to work at WPP for many years, so I definitely know the value of gathering as an industry, looking at the opportunities, understanding how to navigate them, maybe getting some education, getting some inspiration. And so I'm particularly thrilled that this is the first ever PlayFronts. I've been to the New Fronts and I've been to the Upfronts, and people always walk away with a lot of ideas and a lot of context and background. So I definitely know the power of what this can bring to the industry, and particularly that it's the first PlayFronts that are focused on the gaming industry. I just think it's just about time. Gaming's huge, and I'm so thrilled that people will gather together and be inspired and learn a lot of things about how they can leverage this unbelievably powerful channel.
About time, or it's time, is like the resounding phrase that I hear when talking to the press or people in the industry. So yes, I think it's a really exciting time for us. Speaking of which, gaming has been trending a lot in the media. Big topic for advertisers, but it's been around and played a huge role in consumers' lives for decades. Why is suddenly gaming at the forefront of our industry?
Yeah, it was a confluence of many things, really. We had things that going on in the industry related to maybe some not so positive things breaking, things being sunsetted, cookies, ID tracking, etc. We've had maybe some trust in the industry, challenging the notion of what are we buying and how we're buying over the years. And then we had some interesting things related to consumer shift, the actual behavior of consumer, which is probably the biggest trend in the pandemic, was highlighted that anywhere from 45 to maybe even 70% increase in people's time spent in gaming, and people started to pay attention to those headlines. What they realized was the market was already huge before the pandemic. So it only built upon the success of the past. And I think, now that there's so much exposed and so much fragmentation in the marketplace, it's a perfect time to just, stop the madness, so to speak, and rethink the fundamentals of how to reach consumers. It's one, where are they? Two, in beautiful environments where a brand can feel very proud to be present. And three, a trusted environment where they know that the measurement and the metrics are going to give them a return with new things like time and attention and viewability. So all of those things, I think, are perfect time to think about gaming as one of the biggest, most cinematic content experiences on the planet.
And sort of leads me to my next question, what does gaming offer? What incremental value does gaming offer? Right.
Certainly. I mean, if you look at the data, it's super important to make this point first. When a gamer is immersed in their game, they're staring at the game, they're engaging with the game. That's a story that they are the director of. They're leaning forward, they're engaging and telling that story through their play. They're not folding laundry or multitasking, or they haven't left the room, so to speak. They're literally leaning in and immersed in that story. They're thinking about that story. So it's really important to distinguish this experience from any other experience. Maybe a lean back experience where they might be listening, they might be hearing, and of course those experiences are very valuable too in so many ways. But gaming provides this, lean forward, highly cinematic experience with some pretty incredible ways to measure that experience, that really requires the industry to rethink, stepping up their game, so to speak, pun intended, to use the channel.
Yeah, and I think the emotion, the interactivity,
That's right.
the creative, all of that engages so many more of our senses, which
It
lights up
does.
our synapses. And as we all know with ad recall, the more that we're engaged with content, the more senses that we're using to interact with it, the more sticky it will be. So I'm sure there are a ton of studies out there, if they're not, that should be done around, ad recall and this.
There are some studies. Honestly, we're really early. There's some studies that study the audience that are playing the game, how often they're playing the game, what devices they're playing on, and what games they're playing. But honestly, this is a very misunderstood or under researched category. We need so many more studies to understand, first of all, what are the motivations for people when they're playing games? Are they trying to relax? Are they playing for competition? Are they playing to connect with people? Are they playing, to be social? Are they playing to better themselves? Are they improve cognition or learn something new? And all of those things are very valid reasons to play a game. And all of those things take people into the world itself. They require somebody to be immersed in that content. They require somebody to be all in. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, the attention is incredible. The time and view for a brand is incredible. And those are the types of studies and research that the industry needs to do more of. And of course, at Frame Play, we'll be making some quite significant announcements at the PlayFronts relative to that research.
That's definitely exciting. You mentioned the measurement blackout earlier. We sort of got that on one side, and then the technology kind of coming up on the other side, being able to use eye tracking data and actually get a better gauge on attention. And I think the way we saw, viewability, what viewability came to be to impressions, we'll see attention be that to engagement, right? It's not just going to be enough for something to be active on your screen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the first input is how long has somebody seen it? How much time has somebody been exposed to a brand, which is an input to the viewability metric. And I'm really proud to participate in the IAB Esports and Gaming Committee. We are doing that work right now to define the viewability standards with the MRC, hopefully by late spring to have a draft, or maybe even early spring if we work hard to have a draft for public consumption. And the goal of that is to build trust in the industry that we can have a viewability metric for this environment. It is a 3D environment. We have to consider a z-axis relative to this environment. And what does that mean relative to the viewability calculation? So it's a powerful environment that requires unique and new metrics, but we are working on that right now with a very clear vision on how to bring those metrics to life in the marketplace. And then attention is in addition to that, which you can use traditional eye tracking capabilities, whether they be eye tracking capabilities of people who watch videos of content, or actually tracking people who play games. Either way, and both of those methodologies can produce some results where you can compare how do people pay attention when they see ads when they play games relative to the attention studies that have already been done maybe when they're scrolling in a social feed or they're watching OTT. And so as we continue to, do the disciplined work of research, I think we build trust in the industry of cross-channel understanding, helping all planners plan in the right way to reach the right people at the right time in the right environments with the message.
Well said. I think it was 2009 was the last time these standards were written. Why has it become so important that we revisit these? Obviously, they're so dated. But yeah, anything else around the importance of measurement standards for this channel?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think about the industry overall, and I've been doing this for a really long time. In 2009, the group that created those standards were an incredibly intelligent group. I wasn't there at the time, but certainly if you read those standards, they were very future forward. Indeed, they were also quite they were quite robust. As a matter of fact, they were more robust than some of the standards for viewability for display and video that were written in 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you think about all the other standards that precede this standard today, whether that be viewability, whether that be how an impression is measured, is it based on the serve? Is it based on the load? All of those standards are incredibly important to do one thing, which is build trust in the industry, that we are what we are doing, what we say we're doing, we actually do, so that the advertisers can get the return they value. And of course, for us, it's for the game developers to make sure that they can continue to build their businesses in a way that is consistent and has the growth needed for the future of the gaming industry in general.
100%. And I think for those who aren't familiar with the phrase in-game advertising, can we maybe explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I'm really proud, all of us on the Gaming and Esports Committee, both in the IAB UK and the IAB US, we worked across the pond, so to speak, to collaborate on a new framework that was announced the fall of 2021. And it's really a guideline or a taxonomy that helps understand that the word in-game was a little too broad. It was a little too all-encompassing. There is a clear difference in the guideline now, which is wonderful, between people who watch people play games, which is great and powerful, and people who actually play games. And those are very distinct, behaviors with distinct audiences and actually distinct opportunities for creative and measurement, et cetera. Within people playing games, there's a difference between the ads around or next to the game, which can use current web-based protocols. And of course, those standards exist, and they have for many years. And the new standard, which is intrinsic in-game advertising, which is ads intrinsically inside the game. Of course, FramePlay has a leading tech that enables that by the game developers placing the ad units inside of the design or the tapestry of the game. And why that matters is it works on the notion that we're not dealing with the browser technology, which is the current standards. We're actually dealing with the game engine mechanics itself. Serving ads into these virtual worlds requires a different technology understanding. And there are a few specialty companies that know how to do that. FramePlay is one of the leading ones, of course. And we need a new standard to make sure that when we are serving those ads inside the game, that viewability is calculated the way the industry expects, and also the way that doesn't disrupt the performance or the experience of the game. And that's our vision. That's what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, and I think the other way to think about it is it's native. It's like native advertising inside gameplay, right?
Yeah, it is. I think we debated that word for quite some time.
I'm only just drawing the comparison for viewers who might be saying,
"Oh, it's a different spec," but yes,
it's a different spec, but it feels like it's a natural part of the game.
It's a natural part of the game. Right. It's integrated into the tapestry or the design. It doesn't stop the play of the game. There's no click. It doesn't pop up. It doesn't pause the game. It makes the game more realistic. And we have many surveys now that we've done with partners like ComScore that actually show the likability of the sponsorship game is quite significant, plus 20 to plus 40% point lift in those numbers, plus recall, plus purchase intent, because it simply makes the game better.
Well, I think that's the other thing that's changed from maybe a long time ago, is that the quality of ads has sort of risen to meet the quality of great game creative. And that's another reason why it's time to revisit.
If you do it right, and not everybody does. We do take significant pride in making sure that we work with every one of our advertisers relative to our guidelines and standards that require them to think about this experience, this beautiful cinematic experience, and rethink not just putting a current banner ad that's made for another purpose, rightly so, into this environment. To really rethink that creative, give us higher quality creative, take some of the, wording and things out, and really make it about the gamer experience. And when you do that, the brand gets rewarded in a significant way.
And I think that's the only way we're going to keep game publishers and game players on side. We really have one shot to get this right.
I mean, you have to remember, if you think about game developers as people who also, similar to people who create, blockbuster movies. And if you look at the numbers, they're somewhat close. You would never, shove, that kind of stuff into a movie. You would always rethink the quality of any sort of, product placement or marketing into a movie to make sure it fits the environment and the storytelling of the movie. And that's what we do every day for the games that we work with and the brands that we work with.
Because you want to keep the illusion intact. People are in another world. They're having an experience.
That's right.
Well, it's been great to chat with you, Carrie. To bring this home, I'd love to hear a little bit about what the audience can expect to take away from FramePlay's PlayFronts presentation.
Well, first, thank you. And we're so honored to be part of the first PlayFronts. We've been working very hard to be a trusted leader in the marketplace, and by being honored to present it at PlayFronts, we feel compelled to continue to deliver that trust to the industry. At PlayFronts, we're really excited. We'll be announcing some very industry-leading research that takes some of our proprietary data that's an input to viewability, and we'll also collaborate that with some industry-leading attention research. We are announcing that with a brand. We will have a significant agency on stage with us. So very, very exciting. So without naming names and giving away, I guess people will just have to come and see.
Tune in and watch FramePlay's and more presentation.
Yes, we'll also talk about our new titles coming, and all the fantastic. We'll give a showcase, and it'll be quite visual. Of course, gaming that won't disappoint too. So we'll be talking about that as well. So and get everybody excited about gaming.
Great. Well, thanks so much for speaking with me, Carrie. And I'll see you at PlayFronts.
See you at PlayFronts.
Thanks everyone for watching.